Okay, now I think so we should start. I don't know if we have people in the waiting room. Xavi, you can check it. Okay, so welcome everybody and thanks for joining to the theoretical workshop or discussion. So that's a little bit the schedule for today. So it's 1 hour and a half and we want to explain you so many things. So we'll see if we have time. Hopefully, yes. The idea is to present to you our framework and also resources and tools that we use when we design our learning ecosystems for our learning programs in Fab Lab Barcelona, IAC. So what we will do is we will introduce a little bit Fab Lab Barcelona and FLU, that is the basically team that is related to the learning programs. And then we will explain the framework we use. After that, we will challenge you to feel like a template to have basically to start the discussion and reflection. That's more or less the schedule for today. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Santi Fuentemilla, and I'm an architect, and also I did Fab Academy 7 years ago. And since that time, I get like related with the Fab Lab world. Today, I'm instructor in the Fab Lab Barcelona and also a teacher in the Master of Design and Emergency Features in IAC. And we work with an amazing team that is related to mostly like education. And I wanna basically introduce Xavi and Oliver. You can do it yourself, Oliver.
Hi everyone, my name is Oliver Juggins and I've recently joined the team of the Fab Lab Barcelona and the Future Learning Unit. Prior to joining, I studied the first edition of the Master in Design for Emergent Futures, which is one of the educational programs developed by the Fab Lab Barcelona, which is where I first began working with the Future Learning Unit and in the development of my final master project.
I'm Xavi Dominguez from Barcelona too. I'm 42, father of two, Julian Pau. Also I studied too many years ago multimedia engineer. And also I'm considered an entrepreneur because I found my own company and I was running this company during 14 years. But like five years ago, I decided to stop to change my background. And then that's why I did Fab Academy. And then I joined to the Future Learning as an action research, but also as a faculty in the MDF program, but also in the Fab Academy. So yeah, we are the three part of the team, the three people from the team that is going to run this workshop today.
Okay, so this is who we are, but for the ones that you don't know, so we will do a super short introduction about Fab Lab Barcelona and IAC. Probably most of you know, well, most of you knows like Fab Lab Barcelona, but maybe some of you doesn't know that we are inside the IAC, that is Institute of Advanced Architecture of Catalonia. And so we are actually one of the first Fab Labs in European Union, sorry. And we are also coordinating the Fab Academy, let's say, global educational system. And also we are leading the Fab City initiative, that is a global initiative that basically helps like cities become more sustainable. As a campus, we have like mainly 3 campuses right now. So we are in, let's say, in an area in Fab Lab Barcelona, in Barcelona that is mostly basically all factory area that nowadays it becomes like more like filled with creative studios or companies, startups. So we have 2 locations there, and it's the ones that we basically do the architectural and urban planning master programs, and also where the Fab Lab Barcelona headquarters, let's say, is placed, and is where we do Fab Academy. And then we have another location that is in Valldaura is in the hills of Barcelona, in the natural park. So we remodelated an old house, and we basically built also a Fab Lab there, and it's the perfect environment for work in a project related to energy, sustainability, and also the materiality. So we have 3 different locations where we can specialize in different sectors. So it gives the institution a very a good overview of the different possibilities in terms of how to apply technology in different sectors. So this is a little bit, I will not enter a lot of in detail, but it's here, so you can check it after the workshop. But I think so it's a way also to explain our story, that is what we are, and what are basically the biggest steps each year that nowadays is the ones that defines Fab Lab Barcelona. Because sometimes people, I mean, it's difficult to see how we arrive where we are actually. And this is a little bit of the timeline of Fab Lab Barcelona. I don't need to explain this because I'm assuming that most of the participants are aware about what the Fab Lab network is, but we are one of that nodes, and we are very proud of that. And this is, from my point of view, this is the power of this Fab Lab idea. It's like this network. And yeah, so that's why we collaborate with us. Sorry, I'm jumping one here. So this is the kind of institutions that we collaborate with the Fab Lab Barcelona, and we put this because just to basically share with everybody that we do research projects, we do innovation projects, we do learning projects, and we collaborate as much we can with any kind of institutions, because at the end what we want is to create a knowledge that we can transfer to the students to change society. And in terms of the areas of knowledge, so in the Fab Lab Barcelona, we have these 7 strategic areas that are related to the projects and the research, innovation projects and research projects that we do. These strategic areas allows us to have an overview of the, let's say, situation, let's say, and are related, most of them, to the interest of the, let's say, people is working in the Fab Lab Barcelona. And that areas are productive city, sense making, distributed design, future learning, ecological interaction, materials and textiles, and emergent futures, and are not let's say, isolated areas where there's a team that works just in that field. It's actually probably all the projects and programs that we do touch all of them, or at some part, but it's true that specific trends that we want to have, let's say, answers to the questions. In numbers, and this is more than in numbers, it's focusing more in the research part. So we also, a biggest part of the day-to-day of the Fab Lab Barcelona is in research. And these are some of the projects that we collaborate, and we basically did it from, let's say, our history. That brings us, let's say, the resources to keep grow the team and also grow the knowledge. And we arrived to the future learning, that is actually the team that is related to the educational programs. And I will give the word to Xavi.
Yeah, this is the whole team. So we have Oli, Santi, Oscar, Edu, and Josep. And this is the definition. So everything that we do is related with this. So we are an action research group here inside the IAG and inside the Fab Lab Barcelona, that we want to focus on demonstrating that with evidence, that if we combine the people with the necessary methodology, it's something that all of us know, all of you know, that if we combine people with the necessary methodology, with the resources, with the technology, the people can learn and develop skills and key competencies to these uncertain futures, and also become digital social innovators. And we put in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals just to connect everybody with the reality. We say uncertain future, but at the end is the reality that we are living now. So everything that we do is related with this. So we try to build, to accompany the people in developing these skills and these competences. Yeah. Santi? Yeah. And if you ask us, you have a receipt, of course, we don't have a receipt, or we don't have a single receipt, but we always cook everything in community. And also with the approach of the creativity, the STEAM, the learning by doing, the digital social innovation, the maker philosophy. We are inside the Fab Lab and in a maker space, so the maker is in our veins. Also trying to give the right environment to experiment, to fix problems, to work with different materials, to experiment with materials, and also, of course, with technology. So this is our different ingredients, if you want to see like this. And these are our principles. So when we say that we are action research and we work in communities, we work from the perspective of bottom up in community. So we co-design, co-create, co-everything, co-all. And with the philosophy of the open knowledge. So we try to share all our experience, all our research, or our designs, but also trying to reuse from others because we are part of a network, and distribute everything in our repos, in our social networks, in our conference, in everything. We also are conscious that we are part of a local and a global network. So we have this philosophy of locally applied but globally distributed. And we do this in everything, in all the interventions that we do in UO projects, in research projects, but also in the academies and learning programs that we have. We also believe in the learning ecology. So the learning happens everywhere. That's why we try to design, we try to involve the participants, the citizens, that they can learn in everywhere. They can learn, they can apply everything that they learn here in the Fab Lab, in our educational programs. They can apply in everywhere. Of course, we have also the point of view of the digital social innovation. So our goal at the end as a citizens, but also as a Fab Lab in the network, is to try to fix or to try to propose solutions to the social and environmental challenge. And we try to be as much inclusive as we can, with the idea that if we design enough your learning program, your challenge, your project, everyone can feel comfortable and can apply their knowledge, their point of view, without being exclusive. Yeah. And this is our learning ecosystem. Everything that we do, this is our favorite slide, if you want to say that this. So with the action research, we have our framework that we will explain later, but it's based on the attitude, the challenge, and the knowledge of the participant, of the citizen. Different learning programs, since learning experience that we consider one day experience or maybe 1 hour, 2 hours. Also, we have academies, masters, and residencies, and incubator research for learning product or distant learning products. And the age of the participant is quite diverse, and the origin of the participants are also quite diverse. So we have, for example, in Fab Academy, people from 7 different nationalities. Also in the NDF master, people from around the world. But also we have learning programs for the kids, for the schools, for teachers, for citizens. So we try to cover as much we can. And with this idea of that, people learn in different stages, and we call this the adopt part, that is instructional. They adapt when they apply, and we are accompanying them in terms of guide them, and also once they are autonomous, that they can apply everything that they have. Yeah. And when at the beginning, when we define the future learning, we base that, we try to build skills and competences. This is the ones that we define, but they are more or less the same that the Industry 4.0 is defined, but also the 20th century one skills. So at the end, what we do is try to identify two different kinds of skills, the individual skills and the circular collaborative skills. So the ones that are more related with the community, with collective impact and the social engagement, and to work in community and to propose solutions in community. But also the individual ones that are more related with the making skills, the creativity, the problem solving, and the conceptual understanding. I know that all of you know this framework, these learning dimensions, but we wanted just to put it to have it clear.
Yeah. These are a little bit a summary of the programs that we have in-house, let's say. And it's more or less to give you an overview. At the end, all of this community of students, instructors, people related to each program, so it's the ones that also helps to learn all of that skills. And for you to see how we more or less categorize everything. So we have the learning experience that, as Xavi was mentioning, are short experience that we englobe, let's say, the workshops or the boot camps or innovation sprints that we can do it for companies or not. We have the academy, that is this understanding of it's a distributed like program that could happen like in more than one place, as for example, it happens in Fab Academy, but also in the Fabri Academy, but also we have also Making for Change, that is a educational program for teachers to develop like new skills. And also we have the lucky to develop like a circular economy academy that Xavi will explain like later a bit. And then we have several masters in IAC, mostly related to architecture, but the ones that is totally connected to the Fab Lab philosophy is the MDF, is the Master for Designing Emergent Futures. That is where Olive was part of this master, and is a master that have, let's say, included inside the master the Fab Academy. So the students like design interventions to basically redefine, let's say, the future, and the tools and the technology and how they apply technology, let's say, it's what Fab Academy basically provides. And then we have another kind of like learning environments that we basically group it as inside the idea of residencies. And we have it for teachers and for social innovators. For teachers, in the idea of instead of us providing all the content that the teacher needs to develop all the skills, so it's the teacher that comes to home, to the house, let's say, and based it on our day-to-day and the programs that we are running at that moment. So he starts like participate, or she or they start participating, and also growing, or let's say detecting what are their interests and which kind of technology can help them to basically achieve the goals. And then we have the incubator or research projects that, as an example, we have, for example, it's like most of them, they are tools that, in our case, as a future learning unit, so most of them, they are educational tools. So tools that we develop, or someone join us to develop like new tools to basically teach or make it like easy the learning process. As it could be a small milling machine, or a kind of like version of makey, or basically a 3D printing version for biomaterials and everything that is together. It's not just the tool, it's, let's say, the toolkit, let's say, that it comes with tutorials and everything. Xavi, do you want to continue? Yeah.
Okay, so now we go to the framework that we use here in the lab. Again, I put a definition because it's completely related with our focus, and we design this framework based on these three concepts that are the attitude, the knowledge, and the challenge. And this is completely related with from the personal point of view. So from the point of view of the participant. If we want that the people develop skills, competences, becomes digital social innovators, we should try to figure out how to design the best learning environments, how to design the best content in order to create this knowledge in the participants. Also with the attitude that they should have. Of course, everybody has his or her own attitude on this, but we can care, we can support, we can combine, create communities around this person in order to get better this attitude and try to identify when they have a problem, when they have something that can be a problem for him or for her during the learning program. And also to give or to create the right strategies to build the challenge, but challenge that matters, and especially that matters for the person. During these years working and doing action research, we realized that if someone identifies with a real problem, if someone feels that this is a problem for him or for her, then the attitude is better, and then the knowledge that they should have will be increased, because they feel that this is a problem for them. And of course, we can talk about climate change, but climate change probably is a problem for all of us. But if you talk with a kid in a school and you talk about climate change, it's so far from him or for her. So that's why to work on these three concepts, and yeah, I'm going to explain you now. Santi, can you?
Yeah, okay, so now you will have to give me like 1 second, because I have to switch to Google. So I don't know if you are, if you know this. Yeah. I will stop, okay, and I will share screen. So this is the tool that we use for basically share with you all the action points and different, like how do we approximate the framework, and we will like now share with you. Give me a second, please. Let's see if I can do it then. Everybody, it's quite quiet. So if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat, or you can just talk. Okay, let me share again. Okay, everybody's in this? Sorry?
Okay. Can we share the link to in the chat?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Just a moment, then you can see all of you can see the different parts of the framework.
Let's see if everybody have access to the. Yeah, no?
Yeah. If someone has a problem, please write it in the chat. Okay. So we can continue with the attitude. Yeah. So the different items that we have identified to increase the attitude of the participants in our learning programs or in our projects are based in these 5. And the first one is the build and engage the community. So create community around the participant. It's super nice, and we have identified in 3 levels. The first level is the intra level, and probably is inside the Fab Lab. So between the different academies and different learning programs, we try to we organize alumni workshops. We also have different clubs related with that specific topic. For example, with code club or making club. We try to design the assignments in group assignments, so everybody can, from the different academies, can work together maybe in some of the assignments. Also, we organize events like inspirational talks, but also barbecues. So at the end, the goal in the intra level is to create community between the participants. Also in the local level, we try to work, we try to explain the environment that we have here in the lab in terms of neighborhood, but also in terms of cities. And we try to implicate the students in their projects with the local communities. So they can apply their knowledge, they can do interventions with them, and then create the community in the local area. And of course, we have the global community that, in that case, for example, we use different platforms. As you know, Fab Labs.io network is one of these, but also asynchronous tools like Mighty Networks that we are using here in the FabX conference, but also Slack, Discord, Riot. So at the end, these different tools, the different strategies has the goal to create and engage the community that is completely related with the attitude. Okay, we also try to give references to the students in terms of the contemporary and the future references, and it means that give them context in terms of local challenge that we have here in the neighborhood that they can test, feel, but also try to explain which are the SDGs that we have, Sustainable Development Goals, that the UN give us as a citizens. Also, we try to connect them with real people that is working in a certain future, trying to create reflection activities so they can think about how they can apply their knowledge in their projects. Okay, and giving methodology to identify or to face the challenge, and also again giving special talks by people that are working in and is completely related with their projects. Also, we try to support the students in terms of coaching. So giving each of the students has an instructor or someone that is giving the guidance in terms of it's at some moment the student identifies a problem that can stop him or her in his or her projects. And we also use different communications like synchronous and asynchronous meetings, interviews, emails, Slack. Some of the students has the WhatsApp of the instructor. So we try to create this communication as easy as we can. Also, in terms of the hyperconnected environment, and it means that, and this is very important, and we realized during the COVID situation that we should try to create the similar learning experience. Of course, not the same, but trying to give the same experience if they are at home, if they are in the lab, or they are in another part of the university. Okay, and we try to do this with designing the material that we are going to use in the lab, but probably some materials they can find at home. So try to integrate this hyperconnected environment, because if they feel that when they are at home, that they can learn, they can do the same thing, not the same thing, but similar things that they can do in the lab, the attitude change also. And also give good evaluation. Good evaluation that we consider is the feedback that we give to the students about their learnings. And we try to do this evaluation from different point of view. So doing the observation, trying to see which is his assistant or his assistant in the class, and doing interviews, trying to see the documentation, analyze the documentation, also with the project that they do during the different learning programs, with different self-assessments that we do at the beginning of the program and at the end of the program, and also, and super important also, the evaluation between equals, between the students. We try to facilitate these sessions with them, and this is super nice with also with the positive point of view. So to give the key concept, the key answer for the students that can reinforce this attitude in the learning program, in the learning process. Also, we have the challenge again. Which challenge are important? I mean, we realized doing the different programs, especially with kids, that if we give a local context and we try to give the methodologies and strategies to identify problems that care to them, they are more involved in the projects, and then the result of the program is quite better. And And we try to do in 3 different strategies. The first is do research in global local context. So they can identify that the climate change is a problem, but also how this affects in the local environment. And the local environment could be the school, for example, or could be the neighborhood. And we have different strategies like the 5 whys, the atlas of Wixina that we have in the MDF, but also during the mentoring process, you can help the student to contextualize the challenge and try to conceptualize this idea. Also, of course, we are in a Fab Lab, and our point of view is the maker-centered learning. So everything that we do should have a maker experience. And we have these 3 stages when the student is learning. First, the adopt part. They adapt and they create and apply. So the adopt part is at the beginning when they don't know something, they don't have these skills. So they follow probably instructionals, tutorials, videos, and during the session we try to facilitate as easy as we can this learning. In the adapt way is once the student knows a little bit about this skill and they start applying this, but with our guidance. And then the last moment is when they apply. That's the moment that we have evidence that they understand everything, that they develop these skills and they are applying in the right way. Okay. And also for the completely related with the challenge is the mentoring part. So we try to bring here to the different educational programs some experts, trying to do connections between a student that has a specific project with the right partner. Also try to involve them with different communities that we have around here. So these are our strategies to talk about the challenge that we can. Okay, and then, and not for this the less important, it's also the most important part, is the knowledge. Okay, how can we provide the best content, the best tools, the best expertise, how can we design the facilitation methodology that we follow during the sessions that can be online, that is completely different than the session that is presential here in the lab. So we always try to analyze what we are doing. So in the facilitation methods, Santi, can you? Yeah. So we follow these 3 stages: the guided, instructional, autonomous that we already explained. We also have content that is related with different kind of media, tutorials, videos, external reference, also tools. Yes. We work with the Fab Lab inventory. We also create, because of the COVID, the distance learning tools with this idea of the students can work at home with the similar learning experience. Also, we try to decide and design the best materials that can engage the students. Okay. Also, in the expertise part, we try to bring, I don't know, I don't want to say this, but we have the best team in the lab, but also try to bring people that alumni from the university, also to try to connect this with the Fab Lab network. And about the methodology, active learning, and it means that trying to create sessions and projects where the students can reflect and think about what they are doing to build these connections inside their brains. That's the best moment I think, as an educator, when you see that they connect the different skills, the different theory that we give them with an applied project. Also, we have the methodology of the weekly cycle. That is the idea of every week they should do a project or an assignment or something like this. That we start with an instructional session. They have some research part, and then they apply in a specific activity in a small project. And we do this not just in the Fab Academy or NDF, but also in the schools with kids, but also with teachers. So in the different range of citizens. with the approach of the STEAM, especially in the part of humanities and arts, is the best way that we can that we have to involve, to engage the people. Also from a point of view of the maker, do it yourself, and working in peers, okay, the peer-to-peer. And also we have, as part of the knowledge, the assessment part. That is the moment that the student tell us or show us what he or she has learned in terms of the documentation, but during the session that we facilitate this discussion, we can see that what they are learning in every moment, in every part of the year. So I think that it's everything, no? And I talk a lot. I don't know if there's some questions about this. Yes or no?
There was a question about the evaluation. I think so. What criteria do you use to determine if a student is an appropriate level?
So identify like the beginner, intermediate, and expert. And you can see in the documentation when you are when they are in a session, that how they explain their problems, how they contribute to the discussion. Also with some interviews, with the observation that we have during the sessions, with talking with the rest of the team, that the different students has different levels. So that is the moment. It's not just one thing. It's not an exam. It's not just the documentation. It's everything. It's a combination of everything. Yeah.
There's another one about hyperconnected learning. It's related to this idea of home, lab, and university. So how do we deal with these three like environments? That is actually with the methodology and also with the tools. So yeah, this idea came up this year to us. When we was planning before like Fab Academy, we was like planning it like at least like as all of, let's say 90% of the learning process that happens in the lab. But this year realized us that we should like include like other like environments in the equation, let's say. And for that, it gives us the opportunity to, of course, we can talk about Blender like learning, so all the kind of like different methodologies, but we also like, we include like which tools we can provide to the student to learn like similar concepts, especially when it's related to technology, because most of our learning programs are related to the technology, as we are a Fab Lab. So, and in the COVID situation or in emergency situation, so these tools, it's difficult to bring it to the students. So we develop like certain tools that can be made it, and also then they can help the students to learn the concepts of, for example, digital fabrication. And then of course, use the lab when they can to, let's say, go deeper in that learnings and apply it like in a university point of view. So here, when we was talking about the expertise, so we put like the university and the alumni, and it's also in the environment, because I think so. It's obvious, but it's part of the learning process of one of the students that that comes to IAC, is basically be in contact with the other masters and the other learning programs that happens at the house. And this is when we are talking about hyperconnected like environments, is to design, let's say, the learning process, taking in consideration all of these different environments, not like just, it's like assuming that it will happen. That's what we wanted to reflect. And for that, we have some tools and also some methodologies that not force, but helps to join all of these pieces.
And there's another question from Roberto. How do you create Fab Lab at home for a similar learning experience? And I think that I can answer while you are trying to find tools. So for this year was a challenge for us, a completely challenge, because because the COVID. So at some moment the lab was closed, so we couldn't follow the Fab Academy, the masters, and different learning programs that we have in the house presentially. So we moved to online. So we start to design different approach, and I'm going to explain you with an example. So the first approach was, okay, in Fab Academy, we have the molding and casting part. Okay, how can you explain molding and casting if someone is at home? So with biomaterials, for example, designing a workshop where the students can create molds and cast with the object that they have at home. So working with gelatin, with agar-agar, with honey, I mean, with different products that they have at home. And the next thing is that with this solution, we can use it in different programs, like in Pop-Up Machina Academy, but also with the schools. We did some workshop from online workshops, doing molding and casting, experimenting with materials. So our reflection here was, okay, let's try to do the same process. Let's try to teach how is the molding and casting process and do it at home with the things that you already have. But also we developed some technology that, for example, in the case of the CNC, so we create the CNC six-pack CNC that Santi is trying to find now a picture with the idea that they can have it at home with a low price, is more or less 60 euros. So they can learn first how a machine works, okay? Also how the CNC works. So they have at home a CNC, a small CNC, just to learn. It's not super pro, but it's a tool that we define as a learning tool. And also learn G-code, for example. But also we try to connect some of the machines that we have in the house, like the CNC that we have in the house. We put sand in a table, so they can create something. Have the images. Okay, can you share? And then you can talk about this. The CNC by the sea. So this is the six-pack CNC. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'm on. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is what Xavi was mentioning. So at some point we figured out that our students will be like 3 months at their home. So we start like thinking how we can like approach digital fabrication. And this is a CNC, well, a 3-axis machine that costs like around 60 euros or 70. It depends on which material you build the case, let's say, and allows the student to learn about most of the digital fabrication like concepts, as how to prepare like files, how to mill it if it's a mill, or drawing, about G-codes, about fabrication, about mechanics and design. So it covers like also the electronics. It's designed, let's say here, or to be designed in a Fab Lab. So we was trying to cover as much, let's say, assignments of the Fab Academy program to be able to, if some student like have like difficulties to access, so at least doing this project and then can like understand most of the concepts, and also then use it to basically do their projects. Yeah, so yeah, we was trying to do it as much fabbable as possible, and this is one tool that we developed. And then the other one that Xavi was mentioning is the CNC by the Sea. That this was like actually we have a workshop on Thursday that we will use this tool, but it's again another tool that we another strategy that we basically did it during Fab Academy MDF this year to explain or to have the opportunity the students like create like G-codes and send like files to a kind of like 3-axis machine in a distributed point of view. So the students from home, they can generate the files and they can send it to this machine that basically it sands, it draws in a kind of like sand. So at the end, the output, it's not important. So we wanted to basically put the focus in the process, and also in this idea of this is a part of like a distance learning tool. It's a tool that allows to create like let's say a project with the combination of so many people. So this is what a distributed activity can show us or allow to do us. So this, if you imagine that, let's say you have to create a drawing, made it with the, let's say, the incorporations of all of the students from their own, let's say, home. So this is when all the, let's say, the narrative becomes interesting. So these kind of tools are tools that we develop like, let's say, more maker or, you know, more or less funny, but it makes us realize this idea of like hyper-connected environment.
Yeah, I think we have more questions. One is from Roisin. Roisin, do you want to ask with voice?
Sure. Hi. Really interesting. I'm really interested to see the distributed innovation that comes from actually working under COVID conditions with how you've moved your strategy as well. I'm really interested to know, did you create the strategies for the students? Did you co-create them with the students?
You mean the machines or the strategy for the COVID situation?
Yeah, so the machine and how like the actual approach. Firstly, the machine. Did you co-create that with students?
Santi?
Wait, the echo. Not exactly, if I have to be honest with you. I mean, it. Of course, we iterated with them, but the first idea was basically, yeah, we was seeing we have to engage them in the, let's say, fabrication process again, in digital fabrication. We had to empower themselves, even if they are at home. So we have to give them like tools. So this is why we start creating these two like projects that I show you. But what we develop with them and what we co-created is the facilitation methods and also the weekly structure and also the mentoring part. So how all of these things all of this methodology we was like changing every week based on their feedback and their interest. So this idea of have classes hyper-connected where they can basically work together in a kind of like let's say real time. As for example, another activity that it's not here that we did with them, it was we create like an input and output like a workshop where each of the students had like a, let's say, a device with Wi-Fi, and then basically they could control an input of another. So with an input, they could control an output of another students in another home. So these kind of activities, we co-create with them in the idea that they was asking for what kind of activities they can do it. So we actually plan or reshape our weekly, let's say, cycle, we call it. That is when we have classes, when we have mentoring. All of these things was readapted to base it on their feedback. So, yeah, some of the tools, yes, some other ones, no.
So thank you for that. I think the learning outcomes from that adapting and that rapid adaptation through the challenges of COVID are actually have a huge amount of information for other educators that are rapidly trying to move towards the academic year right now. So that might be, I don't know if you plan to share them, but that's a very rich learning, especially in design education.
Yeah, we want to share all our experience this year, but we just finished the Fab Academy 1 week ago. So then we need like a break, and then I think that during September we will start sharing all this knowledge. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, and also I think you have another question. How can we keep the same experience in terms of media when they are online and offline? And,
yeah.
And there is not a single answer for this because it depends on the age of the participants. because, for example, in this year we did workshop with kids, and then at some moment, and they don't say nothing, and you cannot see in the screen nothing because they put the camera off, and you think, wow, this is super worried, no? Because they are not doing nothing. But after 20 minutes, maybe they connect and say, hey, look what I did. And this is super nice because and you understand that in this moment, when they are at home, they want to work alone maybe at some moment and then share this. So you cannot try to think that you can do a workshop online, trying to be all the time connected with them. So maybe give some space to them in order they can work alone and then share this screen. But also this change depends on the age of the students.
Yeah, I think that works for adults too, by the way. Yeah, thank you for that.
I completely agree. Yeah. Okay, Nuria, do you want to ask something?
Yeah, hello everybody. It's a fantastic explanation of all of what you are doing. My question was about a toolkit. One part of that question has already answered, but it's one about a toolkit of materials. Are you planning to send the student at the beginning of the course, for example, a kit of materials that they can use at their homes, because they are using agar-agar or something like that for the molding and casting, but if you are planning to include other materials that the students can use at their homes, will also help them to go more advanced in their assignments, for example, not only in the Fab Academy that you know about the inventory, but also for the kids, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but let's say the tools that we create, that we design it and we test it, the idea is for the next year, we have two options: or we give it to the students, or part of the beginning of the learning, let's say in digital fabrication, for example, is to build one of them all together, and then they can bring it home. And then in another possible pandemia, they will have a tool that they create themselves. They learn how it works, and they know how to fix it. But yeah, totally, we are thinking in a possible toolkit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nuria. And also, Rachel, do you want to ask something?
Hello.
Hey, Rachel.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the end of the course and what you envisage for that time, because I'm a designer from Goldsmiths in London, and I wanted, well, we had an industry and a family day, and I knew that the industry was pretty important. You make lots of connections, and obviously we don't get to work alongside each other in the labs. We're sort of remote, even though this is good, but we're not quite as connected as we could be. So I know connection is helpful for making connections for work afterwards. And I was wondering how you envisage that, and would it be like an online exhibition, or would it be, yeah, what were you just thinking about in terms of that, really?
Oliver. No, sorry. Oliver doesn't like to talk too much. This is why I'm forcing him to talk. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I think so. Especially this year, it was challenging. Normally, we try when we do final exhibitions or events. So what we want is to basically put everybody in common. And this, it could be, as you know, so it could be a party, it could be a presentation, it could be an exposition, it could be a fair, if we are talking about. In terms of online and distributed, I think so our best example right now is Fab Academy. And if you are related to Fab Academy, you know how it is, more or less. It's a kind of standard presentation and using feedback. But this year, in the MDF, that is the Master in Design and Medicine Future, so they did a kind of special kind of online exhibition that, Oli, if you want to kind of summarize, you are more than welcome. I mean, how they basically use Mighty Networks as a tool to basically create the community, and then how they use this tool to also create the final like event exposition, let's say.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so this year there was a tool called Mighty Networks which is a kind of social media platform which has lots of different uses. But for this year, they used it as an exhibition tool where the students were invited to sort of create a video that summarized their final project. And then the invited guests and critics and the alumni and Fab Lab network to connect and then give feedback asynchronously to all different projects.
Okay.
And the idea is now to use that as a tool to create a wider network for the masters and other educational programs in the Fab Lab.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
What else? I don't know if there are more questions about this. Guys, I don't know if we have enough time to do the second part of the workshop. Maybe we can start doing a discussion with all of you, with educators. I don't know, just try to share, for example, with this framework. Maybe Santi, you can share the screen and share the framework and start this reflection part. The first question should be, do you think that something is missing in this framework based on your experience and in your context? Just wait a moment. Because the first idea that we had is, okay, let's gonna share this with the community, but also get some feedback if something is missing, or I don't know how you apply this in your local context, in your Fab Lab, but I assume that also there are people that are working in schools. So what do you think? If something is missing, someone can tell us something, give us feedback or interact.
If it's not, what we can do is we can give like, let's say, we can share with them the template, and they can, as an exercise, instead of like answering the question right now like this, we can give like some moments. So the idea of the second part is like, we wanted, now we explain how we do it or how we approach. We create this template with the idea that you can do the exercise based on your learning programs that you run it at your Fab Lab or school or university or wherever, and try to answer or just like try to put like tools or references from each of the, let's say, different like action points. And then let's say we can share, probably there's going to be a lot of doubts and there's going to be a lot of like insights. And also it's going to be, I think so, if we have like some of the template fill it, let's say, it will also give the opportunity to work in a little bit more in the diagram, and we can add all of these tools here for everybody to see it. So it could be another way to see it. Oliver, sorry. Do you want to kind of like share with them the ones that you did for the MDev? It's just for, I don't know if in English, but breaking the ice, so something like this.
Do you want to,
yeah, can you share the ones that you did? Okay, first of all, if someone wants to fill the template, okay, I put the link here. Just make a copy when you go here. So just create a copy, click, and try to fill it with the program that you run it at your university or Fab Lab, with as much information you can, because this is going to create like a lot of questions or doubts. And in the same time, I think so Oliver can explain the ones that he filled it as an expert in MDev. It's here. Can you see it? Yeah, no? This is...
That's not the
I think you might have sent it to me privately.
Okay. Well, no, that's the... Wait. Sorry. Okay, and these, Oliver, is the ones, no? Okay.
Okay, so there's a slide for each of the strands of the framework, so attitude, challenge, and knowledge. So I'll just give an example from each one to give some context. So in the case of the attitude for the MDev course, in terms of support, we had weekly tutorials, or bi-weekly tutorials where they were either individual or group. And we communicated with the staff through emails, and there was also a kind of peer-to-peer kind of self-organized way of which the students supported themselves amongst each other. And with the challenge, you want to go to the next slide? Thank you. In terms of the research, the whole of the first term was a kind of research phase for the masters, and in this time, students are forced to sort of identify future trends and some sort of global systemic problem in terms to identify in their project. And there can also be some kind of personal interest and connection, but it depends on the student if they sort of have that connection to their project. And in terms of knowledge, the expertise mainly comes from the Fab Lab, Barcelona staff and the tutors, but also from the course faculty as a whole. So the guests that are invited to give different talks and the whole of the network. And in the master's course, at the end of every month, there's a design dialogue session that's where people from outside of the masters come in, give feedback, and that's where a lot of the expertise comes in the course.
Okay, so I don't know if you are creating copies of the template or not. Yeah, so we have like half an hour more, I think so. So what do you think if we spend like 10 minutes just or feeling or just thinking about possible like questions or doubts to share for each of you, and then we basically summarize everything together. If someone wanted to explain like how you are approaching the design of the learning ecosystems, now also is the time. So we are happy to see how everybody is dealing with that. And I don't want to point anybody, but feel free to start talking. Okay, so then let's wait 10 minutes, or well, now 5, and let's meet here in 5 minutes. Let's see.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yes, I want to know also how they are dealing with the COVID situation in order to have the best learning experience in their labs or schools or universities. get Racing is asking us, is suggesting us that we should add a slide in the template because the COVID situation. So special decisions that we take in the COVID regarding to the framework. We will do, thank you, Racing. But also we are considering that the situation is gonna be here like forever. So we try to consider that not forever, I hope no, the COVID, but the situation that people can learn at home and can come to the lab and then can be in another university and try to have this hyperconnected environment. I think that we are considering from now on to be like this. So we will add a slide for the COVID, but at the end will be like the same framework.
Yeah, so this is an area I've been looking at for about 6 weeks based on some work that I have coming up in a university, but with an international master's program. And my sense is it's going to be a distributed global group that I'm doing design education with. And my challenge is that I use a lot of materials when I'm working with them, especially around rapid prototyping for innovative ideas and design challenges. Not quite a sprint, but something similar. So the issue that I have is that I've designed something that works and functions really well in a room, because the interconnectedness between students is so critical, and the energy around what we're doing in the room is actually an important part of the education experience. And that's one of the things that I don't see. It could fall maybe in the community piece of what you shared of what I'd refer to as a mind map, but that peer-to-peer piece, that subtle thing that happens in the room. Rachel was talking about, being in a program and being in studios, and like there's a casualness that happens when you bump into somebody else's work and it inspires or moves your own thinking on. That texture of learning is something I'm still trying to figure out how we, in a digital screen environment or peer-to-peer environment, how do we make sure that richness is still there?
Yeah, we deal with the same problems, with the same problem. So as a Fab Lab, we based, or we count with this engagement when they come to the lab. So it's in our favor. So you can basically, they learn from each other just because they are there and they are, doing or learning by doing next to the other one. So we had to deal with the same situation. This is why we start doing this hyper-connected online sessions where, of course, it's not the same experience, but at least they are understanding that what one is doing is affecting the other one. So this idea of they are connected in a online and let's say real time, it helps them to understand that one. And then also in the mentoring, we struggle a little bit about this. One thing that we notice is that especially in the technology point of view, so when we are talking about coding, this learning. So what they solve in the lab, organically, and let's say in a peer-to-peer situation, when it's everything online, so it's much more difficult. So our level, let's say, of classes, let's say it should be, I would not say lower, but we should take even more care of this basis in terms of. So before, let's say, when we was doing these classes here, what we was doing classes for an intermediate and advanced level, because the, let's say, basic level was reached itself by the, let's say, environment, because the students, they are learning this and they are asking questions, things like this. When everything happens online, so we have to make sure that we also offer that possibility. And this year, for example, how we solve it, and we didn't solve it, this was kind of like a co-creation, if you want to call it like this. It was students organize themselves as a, let's say, they ask us to have a private, not private, but students classes where, let's say, an expert student like was teaching the other ones, but we didn't plan it like this. They figured out the way to do it. So this was one of the learning from our side, so how to deal with this kind of situations.
Okay, thank you.
We also have some questions in the chat. I don't know if Abe Walters, do you want to ask you?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me come on camera here.
Ooh, cool.
I just, you know, I'm on a leadership team with Makerspace in the Massachusetts area, and you know, they, the founder is, you know, has a long history of STEM education, sort of pre-Makerspace movement, and kind of has started a Makerspace. But I'm just kind of wondering how to connect and collaborate more with the Fab community. I'm new. I'm involved and active with the Makerspace ecosystem, but in the area, but not really involved with the Fab Lab community. So I'm just trying to learn how to connect and collaborate better with your community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you connect to the maker community?
Well, so they're just there because I'm outside of Boston, so they're closer to me. Like the drive is much easier to just go visit and do tours, and the Fab Labs are just a little further drive and more traffic, and so. But now that we're all connecting virtually, I'm learning to, you know, it's a lot easier to connect virtually sometimes. It's not the same, but can be, it reduces accessibility barriers.
Yeah, I think that we can do two things. First, I will suggest you to connect with the Scopes DF because there is a huge community, especially in the US, about Fab Labs and education. But also, I want to propose you to create a group here in the FabX application. So, what do you think if we create a group? As I don't know how to say this group.
But you say it in Mighty Networks
Yeah.
platform?
Yeah. Is this out, no? Yeah. Okay. So we can say that is, I don't know, Fab Lab education, or how can we call this? So I can create and then share with you, with all the participants. Okay. The tool ID.
That would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If you have an idea about the name, suggest us.
You know, I guess I'm not sure right off the tip of my tongue, but maybe just an opportunity to like collaborate around education or accessibility around that. I know there's just an enormous wealth of information in the Fab community, and so it's a lot to absorb. You know, it's a lot to absorb, but a pleasure. Yeah.
So we will create a group and then we will share with you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
So I think so. There's a K-12 group. So I think so. There's already like some groups.
Yeah.
That I think so. We can use it instead of. I mean, yeah, join forces. What we will do is through the Mighty Networks, we will post the ones that you fill the template. We will post the templates for everybody like to see it, and also we will complete with the information that basically you are providing now, the diagram, and we will share to you if you are interested. Yeah, and then another thing that I always say the same, but I think so. It's really interesting. So for me, Fab Lab world, it's really connected. Well, I mean, I think so. Fab Academy as a learning programs, it have like a huge impact in how the community connects in the Fab Lab world, let's say. So without Fab Academy as a learning program that is distributed, and it's basically, let's say in most of the Fab Labs, the network will be not the same. So an answer of how to create a network, it could be also through a learning program also. I know that this is like, yeah, but this is not easy, I understand. But when someone like asks us how we can be more involved in the Fab Lab network community and how do we do it, of course we have from my point of view, there's always like interesting projects that the people wanted to participate and because you know someone and there's someone like connects to the rest of the people, but through the Fab Academy, basically you get, let's say, in contact with the Fab Lab, let's say vibe or something like this, the Fab Lab network vibe. So you see, because at the end it's the Fab Labs are made it by people. So through this Fab Academy, you know who is behind, let's say, the Fab Lab. So that's at the end. Wow. I'm seeing that there's like, we have also alumni in the group. Should I call?
Also, we have Andre for Portugal. Andre, do you want to say something?
Hi, I was just thinking that relating to this last comment about an educational program, sorry, the kids are here, an educational program regarding like a Fab Academy type, I would say that a lighter Fab Academy for educators would be a great fit. I don't know how that can fit like the ecosystem, the Fab Academy, Fabricademy, all the, but I would say that that would be something that would be lighter in terms of price and in terms of content too. But I would say that that's a great entry point for educators because they are not as aware of digital fabrication and this movement as the creative community is. So I think that would be, those are my 2 cents about what you said about the last comment. And hi, everyone.
Okay, so 5 minutes to end session. So maybe we can give the word for the ones that they feel, if someone feel the template or anything. It's just reflections. If you try to fill the template, someone want to share? Anything else? I saw that Dalia tried to fill the template. Do you want to share with us something?
Well, I'm sort of struggling with the template at the moment because I'm not sure often what you mean by your questions. Like, actually, it would be easier if you would pose the question directly instead of just writing like keywords. Like, I'm trying to do my best to fill it in, but in some parts I really don't know what you mean exactly.
Yeah, maybe each of the action points should be like next to a kind of like sentence that explains what do we want, or how do we understand each field. Yeah, agree.
Yeah.
Any tool or methodology or something that you apply in your learning programs or workshops that you want to share with, something that maybe we didn't say or something that we didn't put attention, or something that could be interesting for the other ones?
What we will do also is do an iteration of the framework and then put all these tools or the requirements for each of the sections, okay?
I didn't catch that. The volume of your speaker is really low.
Sorry, that we will do an iteration of the slides and also the framework. So you will find more information for each of the items, okay?
So I have a question, if I may ask. So who do you think are going to be the main users of this framework that you are creating? Are anyone who is planning to create an educational program? Are the students themselves for self-evaluation, or who are the person who might be interested in using this?
From our experience and our point of view, are educators. So people that are designing an academy, a learning program that is in contact with citizens. I will say citizens instead of a student, because it could be for any of the different learning programs, but not from a point of view of the student, because they are more focusing on other things probably. So this is something that we use and we share with the rest of the team, that everybody is aligned with the goals and the methodology and the philosophy and the tools that we have. So that's the idea, to work with educators on it. Yeah. And if you want to contribute, Ivan,
Yeah, well,
you want to contribute, you are welcome.
at some point, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have more questions? If it's not, possible missing informal learning from personal learning networks. Okay, informal learning from personal learning networks. Yeah. Okay, I think so. 1.5 hours is enough for an online session. This is something that we also learned this year after our 4 hours workshops. So we have to split it even smaller. So, but just like thank you all of you to join us and to allow us to share our work with you. Hopefully you find it interesting, and hopefully this is just the beginning for start like new collaborations. I think so we can use the Mighty Network group to keep like posting like ideas from these or for the rest of the workshops related to education. And we can, improve our work from all of you. So anything from your side? No? Oliver? No? Okay, so thanks everybody to join, and see you on the screen, let's say. And next year, hopefully we meet in the Fab next conference. Okay, bye, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for everything.